Kara gets a collectible from DC Collectibles. Here's your look at the DC Collectibles DC Essentials Supergirl. Sharing the same Kryptonian DNA as Superman, Kara Zor-El is capable of truly inspiring feats of strength, speed, and heroism. With this all-new 6.47-inch tall multi-articulation point figure from DC Essentials, fans will be able to create stories of valor and hope of their own thanks to the highly posable design. Whether she's in flight or a fight or just Supergirl being super, fans can tell their own tale for this DC icon. Okay, super viewers, before we get a look at Supergirl, let's first figure out how tall she stands. We're going to stop the tape measure right to the very top of her head. That seems like a good place as any, right? I hope so. According to the readout, though, the figure stands just a little over 6.5 inches, 6.5 inches to be exact. And for all my Canadian brethren and other individuals of the world that measure their figures in centimeters, you're looking at a figure standing 16.9 centimeters, almost 17 centimeters tall. Sadly, the figure, being a DC Essentials, you would think that she would come with other things, other accessories, maybe a display stand option. What you're looking at, though, is all you're getting with Supergirl. So again, using the banner Essentials, I really do feel like we're not getting as much the essential end of things. While these figures are great, don't get me wrong, I really would have loved to see maybe some of the offerings that they released with like the Icons Supergirl, which I've actually had a look at on this channel as well. What you're getting, though, despite omitting of accessories, and certainly omitting of display stand, you really technically wouldn't be able to have the means to stand on a display stand anyways. Well, you know what I mean. She'd still be able to stand on anything, but the display stand likely would have had peg points. The figure doesn't have peg holes on the undersides of her feet. That's what I meant by that. For the figure itself, it's a pretty rendition of Supergirl. I'm trying to actually pinpoint, you know, I'm all about pinpointing what celebrity a figure may look like a little bit. I'm drawing a bit of a blank. I'm thinking Rebecca De Mornay, but I'm sure I could come up with a much younger, much more current celebrity. Sorry, Rebecca De Mornay, I liked you in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. The face sculpt is actually pretty, although I'm looking at the figure, and I don't know if it's maybe just me, but if you look right underneath her eyeball, I'm going to try my best to keep my fingers, these stubby digits, out of the way. They're not that stubby. Come on, guys, don't be mean. If I'm looking at this correctly, though, I don't know if you can see it. If I tilt the light slightly, tilt the figure to the light slightly, it does look like there's the impression of an eyeball. You see that? Right up underneath, there's a little groove right there underneath her eyeball where it was printed. Now, don't look at where it's been printed. Look at the little indentation right below that. I'm wondering if that is where those eyes were supposed to be. This eye isn't as bad. We're not getting the full Shannon Doherty effect. You guys like when I use that reference. It's not certainly that much of a lopsided eye, but I do feel like maybe the printing of where that eye was supposed to go missed a mark. And I don't know if, again, you guys can see it or not, but there looks like there's definitely an impression. Get the impression? If not for the fact that the eyes seem like they've missed a little bit where they really would have belonged, it's actually a rather pretty looking Supergirl. Do I like it more than the Essentials Supergirl, or the Icons Supergirl, because we're, of course, looking at the Essentials one right here? I almost would answer that question with no. I think I like the Icons one just a little bit more. One thing I do like about this one is the coloring of her face. The skin tone is rather nice. It's not overly pale. It's not dark either. It's just the right. It's the baby bear of colors. Even like the coloring of her hair is a nice coloring of blonde. There's no real separation, mind you. If you look at the hair on the back, for example, there's no lighter darker tones, lighter undertones, nothing. It's just basically like one splattering of paint in this blonde color. The blonde is nice. It's almost got like a slight bit of a, I don't want to dare say a reddish tint, because I'm sure somebody will say that does not have reddish tint. But you know what I mean? It's not quite blonde. It's got like a few little specks in the spectrum of color, almost moving a little bit more to red, while still sticking in the blonde color scheme. I would have loved if they could have found some means to add some additional coloring. I find primarily when it comes to these Essentials figures, you really don't get extra coats of additional coloring. The blues, for example, don't share that space with any other blue. There's no darker blues on here. There's no lighter blues on here. It's just one singular blue. The same thing can be made for the red, and certainly in the red in the boots also, and even like the yellow. Now granted, yellow is not going to be having some dark shading tones to it. Speaking of the yellow and the red, there's the Supergirl emblem, which, like, looking at it, it does look like it's just been printed onto the body. There's no elevated sculpt to it. And clearly they were wanting to reuse this mold from some of the other Essentials figures that we've had a look at. One that comes to mind, and unfortunately comes to mind, is the Essentials Harley Quinn. Yeah, go see the review of Harley Quinn if you haven't seen the review of Harley Quinn. Coloring for the most part is pretty clean. I mean, yellow seems to always be a problematic color, especially when you're putting it over top of other existing colors or even plastics, but the yellow doesn't seem messy. It doesn't seem like it's the best sculpt, mind you, but at least it's not overly messy. The skirt also has a nice coloring of red. The cape is done in a softer, almost fruit roll-up style of plastic. It's very pliable, manageable, and easy to deal with. Kind of like me. Awkward silence fills the room. The painting on the leg of the boot goes about, well, almost full length of leg. You would either say probably like a 3/4 length of boot, and they form off in points. Again, these are just painted on. They're not sculpted in place or anything like that. The red goes all the way down to what I feel are slightly small feet. Little tiny feet. Tiny little feet. Tiny feet. As for the rest of the figure, like I said, I mean, for what it is, utilizing, of course, the same similar mold as all the other female figures. We are, by the way, a little late to the game on this one. I'm kind of knocking at the door. People are already getting their jackets on and about to leave the party, and here I'm showing up with a bowl of guacamole. Asking myself, why did I come so late? But I am a little late having a look at these Essentials figures. We're going to be having a look at all of them. The only one I didn't get a chance to pick up was Wonder Woman. I may actually just source out a different comic book store. Just between you and me, I think I might be seeing another comic book store. To see if I can pick that one up, because the other store that I got this one from, I was only able to get the Cheetah, the Cyborg, Superman, and the mentioned here, of course, Supergirl. So I'm going to have to see if I can try to get the Wonder Woman. That's the one I really wanted to get, and of course that's the one that they were sold out of. For what it is, though, I mean, pretty happy with the release of Supergirl. Minus, of course, the fact that she doesn't come with anything. Doesn't come with any accessories. Well, we talked about this. I mean, I'm late to the game with the guacamole in hand. I like the face portrait, like I said, isn't terrible. Feel like that eye. It's moving off country. Decide to pack up things and leave for far-off adventures across the 7 seas. Meanwhile, the socket area is like, where are you guys going? Or where at least are you going, singular eye? As for her posability, it's what you would expect it to be. The head rotates all the way around. It hinges up and down, and it also slightly rocks back and forth. It does look a little bit like Rebecca De Mornay. I'm sure I could come up with something else, though. Give me some time, I'll come up with something else. That's a lot of pressure. The head is a little on the loose side, though. For loose aspects on this figure, I have not started suffering the wrath of loose joints on these Essential figures, at least not this one yet. I hope it's not going to be, like, I feel like it's a little loose around the knee. It's not certainly to the point like some of the older Essentials figures that have gotten really loose in the legs. That makes me so sad. But the arms move outward. They move forward and back. I guess in theory they could rotate all the way around. She has a swivel on the bicep, a single bend, followed by a double bend if she wants to flex her muscles. Look at her go. Tickets for the gun show right there. Hands rotate all the way around. It hinges back and forth, and she, of course, has the upper torso ball joint. As for her legs, they split out to about there. There's the ball socket, just in case you were wondering. Don't look up there, you perverts. The legs move forward, they move back, and they have a swivel on the top 3/4 cut of the thigh. Double hinge on the knee. Very nice. A swivel on the lower leg. I guess this would be really where the boots would start on many superhero figures, but Supergirl goes a little bit further past that point. And she does also have a hinge back and forth on the foot. Not much at all in the way of an ankle pivot. So if you are somebody that likes ankle rocking figures, you're going to have to go rock those ankles elsewhere, mister. As for what it stands for this particular figure, it's a nice release from the DC Collectibles banner of DC Essentials, which ends up translating to a very long title. I'm going to have to find a way to kind of shorten that down. Does it fit the bill of being called Essentials? Well, of course, that is the biggest question of them all. While the sculpt is good, still can't help but feel like it's missing something. Oh, right, yeah, some accessories. Well, look who decided to come to the party. Hey guys, I brought some guacamole. Try some, it's delicious. A little late to the game of having a look at the DC Essentials figures, truth be told. Usually when it comes to figures like this, I stick it out and I keep checking back at my local comic book store. Canada is already notorious for when it comes to getting late figures, and the DC Essentials were no different. Even when they came out, they sold out right away. And yeah, I could have picked them up online. I could have done a lot of things, but I refused to pay the additional third the price to pick up figures that normally here in Canada could be about $30 to $35. Conversion and everything else would give me a wowie zowie of about $50 a figure. Yeah, tell me about it. Either way, though, a little late to the game, but still decent enough figures that I wanted to have a look at them. Of course, up to this point, I think I've looked at all the DC Essentials figures, so it seemed like a good thing, a right thing to continue looking at these. Truth be told, I really do like adding these ones to my collection. Every time I get a new line and wave of DC Essentials, I of course want to pick it up, and that's not just me, review me saying that, that's also personal collection me, because I do actually like the look of these. Supergirl actually is a nice release from DC Essentials. Her face is a little off, I will admit it. The rest of the costume come together rather nicely, generally quite clean, and problems that I would normally have had with yellow and red seem to marry themselves well enough together. They're not openly fighting in public like some of those couples that show up at those parties and then they start bickering with one another. Oh, isn't that just the terror? Oh, that's the worst. But no, we don't have any we have a happy marriage here of colors coming together. And except for really just the eye seeming like it quite very obviously missed the section where it should have been printed. Even in final looks, I can see the socket, or at least the impression on the plastic where that eye should have been. Other than that, and of course the huge omission of accessories, which I really think this figure, for being Essentials, should really include some accessories, I can forego a display stand. But gosh darn it, give me accessories for displaying this figure. That's one thing that the icons benefited from. The DC Icons, Supergirl that is, she benefited from having some pretty cool accessories, and if memory serves me correctly, which it doesn't always, I think she also came included with heat ray vision. And that's pretty cool. This one doesn't have that. But I think what you get, though, for this figure, omitting for, sadly, the fact that she has no accessories, is still a pretty looking rendition of Supergirl, and I'm glad that I picked her up. By the way, FYI, in final looks here, I've got her about to leap off and fly. I didn't want to cheat by bringing in a stand that she didn't include just to get her in a flight pose. Instead, she's up in the air, and she's about to take off. So there you go, just in case you're wondering what she's doing. She's not cheerleading right now. She's about to take off and go into flight. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. That's my story of, that's the glory of love. If you manage to pick up this one for yourself, let me know what you guys think down below of the DC Essentials Supergirl, or based on this review, and maybe just this review alone, why not? Let me know what you guys think of the figure down below. This one is currently available in comic book stores, has been for a while. Canada, not so much. Sometimes it's hit or miss. Still got to pick up the Wonder Woman. just between you and me. I'm going to probably go to a different comic book store and get it. So the review of her will be coming soon, as well as, of course, Cheetah and Cyborg, because I've already had a pickup of those two, so those are going to be coming up in future videos. Hey now! How about a segue? Segueing ourselves over, if you are new to this channel or long-time viewers, it's okay. You can be late to the party. But I did bring the guacamole, so you gotta bring something else. Don't bring Jello mold. That is so 1984. If you are new to this channel or a long-time viewer, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Swing on over next door and turn on the bell notifications for future videos. And stay tuned, because future videos will be coming soon to this channel. Thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you guys next time.